Welcome to the 2014 North American Challenger Series, brought to you thanks in part by our friends at Coca-Cola. I am Rivington Bislin III, alongside Aiden Zyrene Moon. You are also a first, are you not? Because I said Jat was a first today, but we have a lot of firsts, but not for casting on this one. How you doing tonight, Zyrene?
I'm doing pretty well. I have mixed feelings because I'm going to lose an hour of sleep tonight, but it's a really exciting match.
We're going to get a best of 3 of awesome games, however, to make up for that. Coming up, we've got the first quarterfinal match of the North American's second Challenger Spring Series. It's going to be big.
Oh, yeah, and that match, it features the most dominant team from the first Spring Series, the Chinese powerhouse, LMQ. And they're taking on Maple Street and Team 8, these new up-and-comers.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Let's take a look at the Challenger bracket now, see where everything stands. The winner of tonight's quarterfinal showdown will face the winner of the LOL Pro versus VVV Gaming best of 3. That's going down Sunday night.
And the bottom half of the bracket features both of Complexity's Challenger squads. Complexity Red will take on Curse Academy, while Complexity Black will battle Cloud9 Tempest. And just a heads up, even though the LCS is dark next week, both of these matches will take place starting on March 13th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which in Germany is 2 a.m. on March 14th.
That it is. Set the clocks. Get them ready. Now that we know where the teams sit on the bracket, let's take a look at where they stand in Challenger points. Because of their first place finish in the spring split, LMQ is first in Challenger Series points. Funny how that works.
Well, it's only balanced in that way. And they're followed by the 2 Complexity squads, which we talked about earlier, with Cloud9 Tempest and Curse Academy still alive in this spring series and looking to build on their 1-point performance from the first time around.
And with tonight's teams looking to grab some Challenger points, let's take a look at how many are actually on the line right now. The winner of tonight's quarterfinal games will be guaranteed at least 7 points and all but lock in a spot in the postseason.
And even though the team that comes up short will still get 2 points tonight, if those are the only 2 points that they get in the entire Challenger Series, it'll take a miracle for them and a tragedy for another team for them to make it to the playoffs.
We'll see what happens. This is the time for miracles to be present. We'll see if the teams have any. And as always, for more information on the North American Challenger Series, head over to lolesports.com.
And there, you'll find stats, bios, standings, and more Challenger goodness under the Leagues and Tournaments tab near the top of the page.
Almost too much for one day. It's going to take a while. All right, guys, let's get to it. The first game in this best-of-3 quarterfinal match between LMQ and Team 8. Coming into this match, I can't say enough about LMQ and how good they looked in the first half of the Challenger Spring Series.
Yeah, LMQ dominated the first half of the spring split, and they didn't lose a single game all the way to the final, sweeping Prawley and Complexity Black. And then LMQ, 8-0 across the entire first spring series. And it was all of that teamwork coming together. Very strong team, very cohesive in that unit, racking up an 8.0 KDA across their team.
8.0 is the bar they set. They're going to have to do better now. And the 2 biggest reasons for LMQ's success were their carries, mid laner Xiaowei Zhao and the AD carry, Vasily.
Vasily. He had an incredible first spring series. He put up a KDA of 14.8 over those 8 games, and he garnered the respects of fans and pros alike for his play. We had people on the desk constantly saying that they would want a duo with Vasily because of his aggressive play style and just lane dominance.
Yeah.
But even though Vasily, he looked amazing, the MVP for the first spring series was the LMQ mid laner, Xiaowei Zhao. He put up a ridiculous CS lead and numbers, last hitting 401 minions in under 31 minutes in a game. I believe getting really close to some records there.
And yeah, really, really close. We've actually had some cool CS records in the past few days anyways.
Yeah, and CS typically stands for creep score, but he had an incredible champion score too. Yeah. He led all challengers with 59 champion kills while only dying 10 times himself. So
that's actually ridiculous.
Yeah, that's really ridiculous. He racked up 8 more kills than Vasily, but 2 more deaths, and that's it. So this team, just a lot of cohesion.
Good numbers on them, calculated. Lining up on the other side of the rift and determined to hand LMQ their first Challenger Series loss is Team 8.
Yeah, and Team 8, they didn't participate in the first half of the spring series, but their first game was up against Kings of Tilt last week, and it was a very tight 40-minute matchup with a win by Team 8 to advance to tonight's match in the round of 8.
And while the players of Team 8 don't have the same name recognition as the guys of LMQ, there is one member fans of the LCS will know.
Yeah, and that's Team 8's AD carry, Maple Street. He played in the LCS last summer as a member of Velocity. He's also the little brother of TSM's jungler, the Odd One. So we got the Odd Bro here tonight, and we'll see if Maple Street can lead Team 8 into the LCS so he can get a rematch against his brother at Putt Putt.
Yeah, he really wants to get back in there. Like I said last time, whenever they went to MLG, when Velocity was in the LCS, they'd always be like, "Oh, Odd One's brother," and they'd never be like, "Oh, Maple Street." They'd be like, "Can you sign it as Odd One's brother?" But he's like, "Well, yeah, I guess so." But he takes it as a grain of salt, and he's still in the scene, trying to get back, like you said, get that game of putt-putt back with his brother. It was a good interview.
Yeah. So
although Odd One won the putt-putt, but
yeah,
what are you gonna do? He's a general.
He's the general.
He's got the tactics.
So does that make Maple Street the lieutenant general?
He might.
One rank under?
I don't know. Do you give rank to family like that? They got to earn it. And
That's
I guess
true.
They're going to have to tonight, especially against LMQ. This is going to be a ridiculous game. You're looking at, as well as Ackerman in the top lane. Nobody that you're going to let by himself. You're going to have to put pressure there. You're going to have to put pressure in the mid lane. You already have lists of priority when you come up against LMQ. You don't go into the game saying, I think we should just pick this and see what we can do. There has to be a definitive goal when you go up against them.
Yeah, and I think their goal, typically Teammate relies on strong laning phase, which could work against LMQ because they usually rely on just a little bit of bullying, and then that team fight is really where they excel, and their compositional strategy. But, you know, Teammate on March 5th, just 3 days ago in the NACL, beat LMQ in a very decisive victory.
Yeah, that's one thing a lot of people kind of didn't realize, because the Challenger Series has been so out in the public, in the media. So you're like, oh, LMQ's winning. But then once the Challenger Series, that first part was over, they had kind of 3 consistent losses right out of it against other teams in competition.
Yeah, they've lost 4 times in competitive matches, going 9-4 in the NACL. Even though they went 8-0, we'll have to see. Maybe they step it up just when there's a lot more on the line. I don't know, because they could make it into the LCS. And I'm looking at the bans here, and okay, I was going to say Caston has to be the last one because we're on 4.2. If you've been watching the LCS all day, it's been on 4.3. People have been letting Caston through constantly, but on 4.2, you have to respect that.
Yep. They get that ban out. Looks like Moore is going to be going to grabbing the Thresh. That has been a huge pickup. We've had videos in the LCS about the playmaking of Thresh, and he's either banned or picked in a lot of games. I wish I had the correct stat right now for probably close to 100%.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah.
He's a very playmaking-oriented champion, but with the resurgence of Morgana and Leona, people have been favoring those, as well as Annie. We didn't see too much play of him today.
Yeah,
but he's always very flashy. A lot of highlight clips.
A lot of highlight clips indeed. Everybody's been bringing out, like you said, the Morgana. We actually saw Lulu at support today, but now the picks coming into the best of 3, something we don't get a lot of until you're into the Challenger Series. LCS is just that best of 1, so these teams have a time to figure out what's going on. Maybe that first game becomes a loss, and you're a game or a team that comes out with 2, just like TPA did. They said they knew if they did lose the game against Frost, that first game, they would win the rest, and they did that.
It's like some SK Telecom stuff right there. We'll lose the first 2 games, then win the next 3.
Bing, bang, boom. Make it happen. The picks are going quite fast, so let's get to them. Renekton and Caitlyn being picked up for LMQ. Huge. We've seen Ackerman / Godlike doing what he can on Renekton in some crazy, crazy plays.
Yeah, that's his go-to. He played it at Worlds back when he was in Royal Club. And this composition so far for LMQ, Xiao picking up the Caitlyn for Vasily. He loves lane bullies, loves Lucian. That's why they pick it away from him on Teammate immediately. He loves Lucian, Ezreal, Caitlyn, pretty much in that order. So Caitlyn falling back on that, but that's to go up against the Lucian. This entire team composition that I'm seeing here for LMQ is very, very standard. We'll wait for those to lock in and jump over to Teammate for a second, because I want to talk about the Vladimir here. We see California has a very different champion pool than most top laners. He brings AP Nidalee. He still plays Katarina up there. And so that could very well be his. You know, he does have the Ghost Ignite, so that's kind of tipping me off. But it could go to Slushi, who's a new mid laner, and is actually back in their match up against LMQ on the 5th. He went toe-to-toe, and every game that LMQ has lost has involved Yasuo in some way.
Oh, no.
Those 3 losses, they played against him, and then that 4th one where they played against Team 8, Yasuo was in the hands of Xiao, and he was something like 0-8.
Ouch.
At one point in the game.
And then.
Yeah. And then it was pretty much game from there.
And then. So we see Maple Street, like you said, picking up that Vladimir, and I've been looking at this composition. I like it. Curse has run this type of thing before, and it looks like a lot of damage amplification. You throw it on Hemoplague. Tibbers is there as well. The culling hits more people, providing more damage with that percentage from Hemoplague. It's a little bit of benefit for everybody there. I like the damage amplification comps.
Yeah.
But you got to stay in the fight to make it work.
Riven would totally...
There's enough AoE there to amplify as well. putting on the extra damage. So I like what they have. We actually saw Dexter trying his hand at Jarvan, and it seemed like he almost didn't play it as much. You know, the flag toss wasn't in range some of the times. We'll see what No Name can do on this. We definitely see Jarvan a lot more in the Challenger Series, for sure.
Yeah, and Scar actually made a tweet today. He's like, what happened to Jarvan? And nobody's playing him. And he's actually one of my favorite champions, so I love seeing
Jarvan in the jungle.
Yeah, you can always get somebody's flash very early on, and then just come back to the lane. Your standard has a very low cooldown. Even if you Cataclysm, it's about 90-second cooldown.
That was one of the greatest things about Jarvan, is you had a gap closer, as well as you yourself are a formidable opponent. If you do blow the flash in that top lane, you can go right to mid lane, do another flag toss, blow the flash in the mid lane, and then you have presence in 2 lanes. It can be done in the third and the bottom as well. Not many champions can do that. At least will be in and out. You hide behind some minions, and she cocoons the minion. Jarvan's always in your face, so we'll see what No Name can do on that. Big pickups on both sides, big initiations from both teams, and that's going to have to come from the opponents, because LMQ is going to be in their face trying to fight as usual.
Yeah, and there's a ball delivery system there too for the Orianna, synergizing with the Jarvan. Just immediately use your Demacian standard Dragon Strike into the Cataclysm with the ball on you, shockwave everybody in.
Dang.
A lot of damage, and you just get Renekton on top of that. Very good team fighting potential there from LMQ if they can synergize it, and that is their forte. That is where they like to bring the game. And Team 8, they love the lane bullies. Vladimir can go toe-to-toe with Renekton, and Riven up against an Orianna, once again, just a big bully. And so they're looking to win lane here for Team 8, and then transition that.
Good call.
And when you form up as 5 men, and you have been bullying them all game,
Voltron.
It's yes, with our powers combined, we create this deadly squad that actually has about a 2k gold advantage just from the laning.
That's a good point.
And if you can transition that into turrets and then just keep pushing it, you can end the game pretty quickly. And Team 8 might have to do that because of the lack of a tank, or wait for the scaling from Vladimir.
I think it was funny the other day. I was sitting with Jat, and he goes, "Oh, Team 8, I get it." And I was like, you know what? I'd never thought to think about it more. I just thought it was Team 8, but it's Team 8.
Teammate.
Wow.
Teammate.
So that was...
it's like you kind of neglect the M, but you put them together.
Right.
Slushy.
Just getting a few Qs on his broken wings. Ooh, Vasily. BM in the mid lane as he tries to get a few attacks on. We'll see what everybody does as they position themselves on the map. We do see that No Name has grabbed himself up a sweeper. We'll see if he uses that to get some invades going, or at least to keep the jungle clear, if Guess likes to invade.
And we also see that Ackerman has brought a Doran's Blade to the top lane.
Yep.
This is pre-Doran's Shield nerfs.
Yeah.
So he's looking for an aggressive lane here, and up against somebody like Vladimir, who has the auto-attack harass, also can use Transfusion to just go ahead and chunk you down over and over again. Ackerman's going to try to auto-attack and push the lane, because he knows he's going to get pushed in, because it's Vladimir. He always is going to be pushing you in and trying to create this CS advantage. Renekton can go toe-to-toe with that.
We'll see what happens in the mid lane as well. I'm interested in Xiao's leveling here of his Orianna, whether he goes from shield, he wants to auto-attack, or he levels that ball, or the W. You can really do anything with Ori. I love her in the mid lane. Probably not going to go for the shield. He wants to be able to dish some damage back. Obviously, ball level 1, and we'll keep a track on that as they both kind of give each other some space here. Oh, good aggression.
Immediately bullying
Transfusions immediately onto Ackerman.
Just pushing him back in lane. These are the lane bullies that Team 8 thrives on. And they know how to push this advantage, and that's what they've been doing with the team, creating those little gaps and then snowballing it. And I want to keep an eye on Xiao versus Slushy, because Xiao is Spring Split 1 of the Challenger Series MVP. And then Slushy, he's new to the mid lane. He swapped with Maple Street, who was the original mid laner, and Slushy was the AD carry. And that happened about 3-4 weeks ago. And he has been showing phenomenal score, except in this game. He's down about 10 CS, but that's kind of how Riven do, up against an Orianna who's just going to clockwork and wind up harass you.
Yeah. And that's interesting, you know, what you're just talking about, because as soon as Velocity did depart from the LCS, Maple Street was pretty much on that mid lane. That's where he reverted to immediately, because that's where he had played as well before that. See what happens here in the bottom lane. A little bit of pressure coming in from the jungle. I don't know if they're going to be able to get the flag and drag that counts. Guess is also trying to work something in mid.
So both junglers actually going after different objectives here. Guess trying to shut down Xiao, and Slushi, he says it's go time.
Very nice job. Uses the shield, the broken wings. This should be a kill coming up. There it is. It's going to Slushi. Very big for a Riven in the early game with those shield changes. It's
and down bottom, No Name takes a ton of harassment, and immediately teammate taking advantage, and all of their laners are not thriving. This is what teammate has been set up to do. Ackerman, he's been pushed underneath this turret. He's missing CS 6 to 14, and there was a little bit of a gap there in the mid lane, but Slushi synergizing with Guess. Guess used the flash Vault Breaker to close that distance and took Xiao by surprise. He blew both his flash and his barrier, and now they're looking bottom lane, and there's no ward here.
They want more. If they don't get a kill on this, what they did in mid lane could start to actually fall behind. They go actually for Vasily on this one. The punch comes in. It's the full Vault Breaker and the quick kill. It does pay off greatly. But you're going to see Xiao picking up big CS here, trying to push his lane.
And that is what Team 8 was set up to do. I'm going to say it once again, the lane bullies, if you can get these early kills and transition them to other lanes that are already winning, you just snowball that. And then LMQ, if they group up in the late game, they're going to group up with a behind 5v5 team fight, which is going to rely on their mechanics. And up top, we see No Name. He's going to try to tilt this.
Ackerman gets in. No Name does come out of the brush. The flag and drag is there. He knows it's going to happen, though. He kind of just stands still for a quick second.
And there's something else about this top laner. He got that kill on California Trolls, but he brought Ghost to the table. So when No Name is able to get his Cataclysm, there's no escape for California.
That's true. Way back in the day when Olaf came back out, that's when we saw Jarvan come back out. Because Olaf can just run around. Same thing, like you said, with the Ghost, it's a great counter to somebody that really wants to get in and out of a fight. Now coming to the mid lane. No Name trying to work those lanes, like we said.
Slushi went aggressive.
Oh, pops up in the air just for the comfort. Trying to get that last broken wings off and do some damage. The auto attacks are not going to be enough as No Name tries to be a nice guy and take the turret.
And now Xiao, twice the CS that Slushi has. Very aggressive laner, playmaking, 2-0-0, 100% kill participation. All the kills are on him right now. But his CS is sorely lacking. And I would actually say that Xiao probably has as much gold as him right now.
Yeah, they did, like I said, when Slushi went down to that bottom lane, they did get a good kill, but he's got to keep that going. Xiao's known, like we said, for his farming. If he's going to be left in the mid lane, and if No Name can do as well as he is, he's going to be able to grab the Wraiths all he wants mid. So, going to get back to that high CS early in the game. Pink Ward finally going down from Gas. He's been holding on to that for a few, and that's going to counteract, not counteract, but mirror the Pink Ward on the top side of the river by LMQ.
And you were talking about Xiao's farm. It's so easy to take the Wraiths with Orianna. As soon as you get the blue buff handed off to you, it's just boom, command attack, dissonance, that's it. Maybe a couple auto attacks. Very easy CS to pick up. And now they're even in gold, but that's just because LMQ is farming a lot better than Teammate. His Teammate is going for the kills. LMQ, they're going for the creeps.
I actually see Phage being pieced together here by Maple Street. Went back at somewhat of an awkward time, but probably the best time he had at that chance. He's going to be looking to get that in his hands against the Scepter right now as Vasily, and they're doing a good job at pushing the lane. 53 to 48, not too much of a discrepancy there, but also not as much action as you usually see from a Thresher and Annie lane. Those guys are usually at least 1-2 punching each other here and there.
Yeah, the Annie's able to harass back on the Caitlyn with the 625 and 650 ranges, respectively. So everything he does is going to be answered just a little bit. And in a lane with no sustain like this, every little bit counts. You slowly but surely get pushed out. But the Vamp Scepter is going to help with that. So there's a little pressure on Maple Street in that lane to not take free damage.
Looks like Xiao going for the level on his Dissonance. His W is at level 3 right now. Just a ball movement on level 1, so that stays. He's not doing anything fancy. Looking to clear the lane and also deliver bigger damage on those attacks.
That's the wave clear build right there, as opposed to positioning. Slushi hanging out in the jungle. They don't know that he's there, though. So LMQ have no idea. No Name coming around the side. Don't think he spotted him.
We do have a ping coming out. Maybe that was No Name's ping. But walking over that ward, I think he saw too much behavior and movement from LMQ that says, we kind of know you're there. You're going to waste your time if you come down here. Slushi plays that one pretty well, but he's also missing minions in the mid lane. That's more than once now. He's gone away from the turret with minions crashing into it. Yeah, he got to kill those other few times, but that's going to start stacking up.
Yeah, and you were talking about keeping tabs on what Xiao was leveling up. the dissonance. You said there were 3 points in it. 4 now, just straight up into that for the wave clear, clearing the caster minions immediately and doing some damage to the melees. So he's able to clear that wave very quickly and preventing Slushy from roaming. And No Name is looking down bottom. Both flashes are up, but level 6s are out here for Team 8 as opposed to LMQ. See Vasily hit his. More?
Cataclysm is on the backside, but that box would absolutely be what they need because there has to be disengage when you're fighting against Annie. Has to be. So they wait off on that. Guess is actually going to leave that portion of the fight as well. And we see that Xiao Zhao definitely go for the long game here in his build. Picks up the tier on Ori. They're still focused in the bottom lane though, Zyrene.
Oh, as soon as they see him, it's go time.
Ooh, the Lantern over. Not even the flag and drag yet. That's the Tibbers. What they were waiting for. Once they figured it out, they can just section everyone off. Very calmly played by LMQ, but they do have retaliation here. No Name! Oh, he gets flash punched in the jaw. Going down. Vasily's going to get hit as well. A huge double kill from Guess when he returns to the lane.
Guess is 2-0-2. Every kill he has been a part of, setting his team up for success, but now they're only 400 gold, 500 gold ahead. And that mid lane ping tipped off that Guess was over there, so it's going to be a 3v2 at best. Maple Street gets dunked, and now they're coming in. We're going to see the charge up. He flashes, then he lets it go. You can hold on to that. Salt and Battery comes through on Vasily, and the double kill. Previously 0-0-2, now he's got some kills. Immediately finishes his Lizard Elder. And
Dragon was taken as well off of that, so even more gold coming in. Guess playing a huge one on that. LMQ really thought they had the upper hand, and No Name had spent a lot of time down there for that fight.
Yeah, and Guess, very aggressive vibe build coming out here.
Yeah, that was like a 9-minute Lizard. Yeah. That's not damage the other team's ready for.
And he's still got more in his pocket.
Yeah, with 2 kills. That's good. It would be a good amount of gold burning a hole in that pocket.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a Brutalizer. Some people do go for the Trinity Force, and paying him a visit, but that's going to tell No Name that the counter gank is a little far off. Might wait a bit. We'll have to see. Cataclysm not up just yet, so they can't lock down California. And ooh, they're onto the trap.
That's onto Dodo. The Peacemaker starts it off in the play, but they're not really on the same page of just harassing. Looks like Moore wanted just that, and Vasily was like, I'm farming. I'll give you a Peacemaker, but we're going to hold off for now. Ooh. They want more. These guys are always making moves.
They're trying to keep tabs on Guess 8 because he has been roaming around making all the plays.
He's the problem here.
Yeah,
especially for LMQ.
Exactly. So Ackerman and No Name, they say, we're going to go find him at red. He's not there. It's already done. He rotates mid, and as soon as they see him, they back off. So LMQ, they're afraid of Guess, so I wouldn't be surprised to see deeper wards start coming out here. And Xiao Zhao actually picked up a tier for Orianna, so he's going for that late game. Tons of shields on himself. There's a shielding team here. We got Thresh, we got Orianna, we got Jarvan. Only one of them, two of them can give shields to other people, but otherwise there's some natural damage mitigation as opposed to Team 8, which is really just full-on aggression here. So LMQ's looking for the durability, teammates looking for the smash your face in, do it quickly, and then snowball it. And they're off to a good start. 1.2k gold lead, Dragon, kills.
They're coming in strong. They still want more fights. That's what teammates' composition says. And it looks like they're going to find it in the top lane. Cali Trolls is there. Looks like Guess 8 is in the right spot at the right time once again, and they get down No Name. He has now died twice after his help in the mid lane. The calling on the backside. More! He's getting caught up in the minions. Trips over his own shoelaces. The double kill again for Guess in the top lane. There is just carnage everywhere on the map.
4 kills to Team 8. 2 in the bottom, 2 in the top. Nobody died. 4 for nothing. Xiao Zhao, the only person alive.
He has to be thinking to himself, what is going on around me right now, guys? Calm down. I am trying to farm in the mid lane. I do have the highest farm. Take a deep breath. Let's reset. LMQ is definitely off to a different start than usual here in Team 8, but solid.
Yeah. Miscommunication in the bottom lane of who's going to tank the culling. They're kind of trying to get around each other. We're going to see it here. The Tibbers comes out. Moore puts down the box, and Vasily's like, I'm trying to get in front of you, and I'm trying to get in. And then he comes in, flash.
How unfortunate.
Disintegrate, incinerate, boom, he's down. And up in the top lane, we didn't actually see Cataclysm get used by No Name because he didn't have the opportunity. Assault and Battery came through, locked him up, and he was just done. The amount of damage and early game damage that Guess has built on his kit,
that's crazy,
is more than enough to handle this team that LMQ has. And now they're down 5K gold, 4K. And this is really what teammates set up to do from the start. Yeah. They've played LMQ twice, they've lost once, they've won once, and when you get this huge array of games from them, you watch the losing games of LMQ, because they've lost 4 now in the NACL. You look at how the other team got that advantage. What made that crack in the armor for this huge Titan? Because LMQ hadn't dropped a game in competitive play until after they had become first place in the first series.
Well, right now, it seems like they just took away that champion that Zhao could roam on, a champion that he likes to farm on is what they gave him, and they said if he's going to be doing that in the mid lane, let's choose a very mobile mid laner that can go to other lanes quicker. The level 3-4 gank that Slushie brought out to give him double kills. The 2 kills he had, not a double kill I should say, but the roam these guys put on is really leaving Zhao in the dust. He hasn't been able to do anything on Ori yet, and the team's not getting together for that either because the laning phase is still pretty apparent.
Yeah, and no name on that Jarvan, he can't roam around and cause picks for his team. He's been looking top a little too much because of the Ghost is probably baiting him. It's that's such a delicious target for a Jarvan Cataclysm. You're almost pulled to it. It's almost like a Teemo Global Taunt.
Yep.
But down in the bottom lane, Vasily, he only died 8 times across 8 games last spring series.
Yep.
He has died 3 times at the 15-minute mark here. That is huge. That is just showing that Teammate has this arrow for the Achilles heel. And it's really this early game aggression.
Yeah. Well, you said it in the early game. Team 8 has picked lanes that are going to win. They have gone out of the early part of the game with that completely in their favor. They have gone and won the lanes. Mid lane, however, not on CS, but the kills, the roam, and the pressure that Slushie has put on the map, he's pretty much on par with Zhao right now. Towards the late game, it'll be a different story. The Seraph's Embrace going to be stacked up. Right now, the Archangel's staff, however, Ackerman going a little bit hard on Cali Trolls in the top lane, but neither are going to go down from that.
Yeah, immediately buys the Spectre's Cowl to keep himself alive. And Cali Trolls, he actually respects Ackerman's damage and goes straight for the Seeker's Arm Guard. Charges that up, Dragon's up, and it's gone. So quick. Teammate just collapsing on it. And now that they have this 5K gold advantage, I talked about if LMQ group up now as 5 against 5 of Team 8, they're going to be 5K gold behind in combat stats. And Team 8 know that because they got that early game advantage. And Dignitas actually talked about it earlier today against Cloud9. How do you beat somebody that has this late game team fight? You take it to them early. You don't hesitate. You make the picks. And then look at this right now. Guess he's coming off on the side. That would be a big dive for him. And actually, Xiao.
Yeah, you can see Teammate, they've had enough of the laning phase. They're saying, we've won this enough. We don't want to give LMQ that time to get to the late game.
LMQ,
start organizing.
They're collapsing as 5 here.
Yeah, they need to as well.
Dragon's down, so they're not going to get anything for that. And it did look like they saw Guess kind of enter the area, and now they're looking for him, but he's already gone.
Let's see how much they start to put towards these initiations. No Name, again, just on the wing. He's quite far behind on Guess right now. If Guess enters any fight that No Name does and he gets a good counter initiate, it's going to be bad news bears. 32 CS ahead. Overall, a 2.4 thousand gold lead between the junglers itself.
Yeah, and a 1K gold lead between the 80 carries.
Yeah.
This game, all across the board, except for really Xiao versus Slushie, is in favor of Team 8. And they set themselves up to do this, but at the same time, LMQ, they look very disorganized. This isn't the LMQ that we normally see.
They're not able to activate anything.
Yeah. We typically see something like Ackerman will roam mid unexpectedly and pick somebody off, but he hasn't been able to do that this game. And No Name on Jarvan, I don't know if I like the pick. I like Jarvan as a champion, but No Name is much better suited to an early aggression type character, especially in this meta. That champion would suit him better. We saw him previously on Kha'Zix, and he was just making picks, setting his team up with lots of kills and assists for himself. And this game, his name is really coming to fruition.
Yep, Teammate also not allowing LMQ any ways to get back into this. 2 pink wards, 1 in the try, 1 down by Wraiths behind their red and down by the Dragon, so 3 on the map. And they also are ready to put down more.
Yeah.
Teammate is cutting off any entries that LMQ could start to get gold back in their favor there.
Yeah, they have a lot of wards in their inventory. They have 3 sweepers now.
Yeah.
That will help them roam, help them create picks, and get LMQ in rotations. They have all the outer turrets except for the mid, and they're looking to take that now. That seems to be the next thing in their sight. As soon as they get that, the deeper wards are going to mean more. They'll be able to pick people off. They have the Annie, they have the damage, and we saw how quickly they took Dragon. That could have been a member of LMQ. Imagine how quickly they would go down, and then an objective in favor of Team 8. They want to close this game very early and very decisively, very reminiscent of their performance in the NACL 3 days ago.
Well, the laning phase may have looked a bit chaotic for LMQ, but they can somewhat get that wave clear once they get to the base. They'll have a dissonance as long as Xiao can pretty much keep that blue buff on. Turret holds will be quite all right. Ackerman in the top lane won't be able to offer too much without teleport. But still, like you said, we usually see him roaming a bit more. LMQ is not on the full game right now where they can be the one making the initiative move.
Yeah, and even if they do make a move, they'll be at a disadvantage, but Slushi...
There we go. Xiao's been in the lane. He didn't call the ball to himself. A good dodge on the shield. Gonna keep going. This is not good when when a Riven can keep going in the fight. There's gonna be a few more hits. The last one, the burn is on, and the buffs go over. Double buff calculated over to Guess, and he's gonna deliver a lot here, but I don't know if the dive is. Dodo says, let's do it, and it's gonna be the kill coming in as he goes coast to coast on the roam from bot lane. Maple Street, however, got himself in a sticky situation with Dodo off on the wing, and now with the Ignite down, the barrier comes off. The Ignite should not burn through that, but the ace in the hole will surely take him down. Again, carnage across the map.
6K gold lead now for Team 8. They get that mid turret. They call down the top laners for both teams. And that team fight, really, it's Guess from start to finish here. 5-0-8. He can duel No Name by himself. He can pretty much take out Xiao from full HP. He's just a monster. And we're going to take another look at it right here. Slushi, he actually does a really good job here. He dodges the ball since it wasn't brought back to him. Off to the side. Maybe it's really close. Takes out Xiao. The flash from No Name to get him closer means that he doesn't have it to get out. Gets picked up there, and you see Guess is at about 3/4 HP, but No Name, he's dropping quickly, and Dodo comes up with the reinforcement there. Just speeded up, gets the kill.
It becomes such an unfortunate situation for an Orianna player when you don't have the cooldown to move your ball and you go past it, because it becomes such a telegraphed ball movement. You're pulling it from behind you. There's so much more movement time. But he was trying to do what he could after that flash, and with the cooldowns, just an unfortunate event, and Team 8 again takes advantage of that. A little bit of a power play in gold to 6,000 now, 10-4 and 3-0 in turrets.
Yeah, and both members of Team 8 that actually have 8 at the end of their name, Guess and Dodo. 5-0-3 for Guess. 3-0-3 for Dodo. Just completed the Talisman of Ascension for his team, but his Moby boots have been coming in handy. He already has Distortion for the Flash Tibbers. He is set up for team fights, which is where LMQ typically excels. But Team 8, they've been dominating this laning phase. When the first team fight happens, I don't know who it's going to go to. Team 8, they have just created this huge gold lead.
Yeah.
Dragon's up, and Ackerman isn't there.
If they can
California's much closer.
If they can get that shockwave, it'll be beautiful, but I do not see them getting past what Team 8 can do. They haven't seen the full 5-man composition fight from Team 8. You still are going to be tricked by the fact that you have Sanguine Pool coming out of Vlad, but then he can also go invincible with the Zanyas. So that's double that they have to know coming out of the gate to not focus him. Right now, he's giving Ackerman a hard time in the top lane, but you can see they trade damage back and forth evenly.
Yeah, and you talked about the shockwave. Xiao.
Yeah.
253 CS at 22 minutes 40 seconds.
He's over it.
He's
over that clip.
He's trying to put everybody in his backpack right now. And Orianna's a great champion to do that. If you can actually get the ball to the back line and land that shockwave dissonance, because it's 2 moves, both high damage and high impact, you can chunk an entire team fight down and then put Team 8 on their back foot retreating, which is where they want them. And LMQ has some good chase potential here.
Yeah.
But no Talisman of Ascension yet completed. Team 8 does have that. So the initiation, like you said, you thought it was going to come from LMQ, but now it's coming from Team 8. They're the ones pushing forward.
LMQ doesn't have a definitive disengage. You want that shockwave for aggression. Xiao trying to pull himself back into the game here. Like you said, 270 CS, gets another blue buff. Orianna becomes really a champion you can outplay 3v1, 4v1, almost an entire team if you have the initial right positioning. The ball moves at level 5. I think it's like a 1.89 second cooldown, so it's coming off on 300, 400 damage. There is a lot you can do. LMQ is not out of this game yet. Still have a lot of turrets to be taken down, a lot of ground to be covered.
Yeah, and if it's any team that can come back from something like this, it's going to be the champions from the first spring series. LMQ down 7K gold, but we've seen bigger comebacks in the past. And as soon as teammate gets out of the laning phase, which they are doing now, they're starting to roam around a little bit more. If LMQ answers in kind, we'll have to see how the team fights go. But it does look like they're very CS-oriented right now, just trying to get their numbers higher and higher. And it's reflected all across the board with everybody having a little bit more than their opponent, except for the jungler, Guess, who is just having an amazing performance.
It's kind of like the basic idea was what Nien did the other day on Bryze. He was level 1 when 2 turrets were taken down in the top lane. Everybody was a bit behind, so they said farm. Everyone just farm. And he did it more than anyone to have the highest CS in the game. But like you said, you're right. The team is just farming up. LMQ knows that Xiao can put down damage. He almost took down Slushie by himself. Guess was required to stop that fight. So if they can get all 5 together, Ackerman gets himself in the right spot, they can still do some big damage. Calitrolls returns to top lane. He's missing quite a bit of CS here, but he will be able to get it with that Tides of Blood. Oh, God. That always feels so good when you're able to do that.
Just clear out the entire wave.
Ching. Tons of money.
Yourself up with those E's.
Fill those pockets.
Heals you a little bit more, too, when you have all of the Tides of Blood stacks on you, so your transfusion's a little more effective. And No Name's build is completely defensive. He has no offensive item in his inventory. He's looking to mitigate damage, and that's the LMQ composition here, is scale to the late game, mitigate as much damage as possible. Xiao, he's got the Seraph's Embrace in his inventory. Another shield in this 4-shield composition now, counting that. And
hello.
California Trolls a little out of position. There's the
get the Cataclysm down on. We'll see. He uses the Sanguine Pool. The Zanyas will be there for the rest of the team to get in, but it looks like they're going to leave him high and dry on this one because they can't do much. He goes down, but it does take a little bit of attention away from the rest of the team. A push in the bottom lane, and maybe that turret going down to the second tier in mid.
Maple Street, he does have Trinity Force completed and a Bloodthirster. He's going to chunk this down. Spam some abilities every time he's got it up to get Light Slinger passive. Yeah, just throw it off into the trees.
Just huff it off over to the right. Anywhere will do. Trying to get a little bit of figure out if somebody's coming. Wow, that hurts. Double buff still on him, and that double buff is not going to wear off anytime soon. Actually, the red buff will, so he needs to keep a good bit of distance in. He gets one more. No, he can't do it. And he loses the red buff, so the chase does not continue.
It was a top laner versus the jungler, and Guess just shoving his fist all the way down that crocodile's mouth, almost killing him. And Maple Street, he's caught out, and there's a red buff on Vasily.
No circus tricks in the top lane, just death. Oh, the Caliber Net misses, but he goes to the ace in the hole. Oh my God, they stand so toe-to-toe. That was awesome.
Wow. The barriers. That was so good. Boom. So Vasily pops his. Maple Street, all of the culling goes into Vasily. He doesn't miss more than 2 shots. Goes straight in, barrier onto the ace in the hole. And it was so good. That was
that was amazing that his barrier had just worn off. He was about to take the full damage from that ace in the hole. Vasily actually had the upper hand, but shockwave we've been looking for. The dissonance cutting down Calitrolls here. A lot of these guys haven't been building up magic resistance. We do see that Guess Aids had the money to be able to do that, but everybody's been on that gung-ho, let's build damage. We're so far ahead. It could be starting to turn now. Or Xiao with that good ultimate definitely makes teammate second guess being in the jungle.
Yeah, and jumping back to that little fight, it was really good on Maple Street to dodge the Piltover Peacemaker. Neither of them used their flash. They're saving that for a team fight. You know, Vasily probably could have flashed the culling, something along those lines. But if you look at how far behind he is in kills and assists, he's 1, 4, and 2, but he's staying up in CS.
Yeah.
Same kills, more deaths, less assists, but it was still extremely even and big on Maple Street there with the culling. That was probably one of the cleanest cullings I've ever seen. Ever.
That was nice. I actually want to go back and watch it and watch Vasily because people always say that using the Peacemaker in a fight you know, stops you from getting a headshot. You can always do more damage if you're just shooting. Sometimes it works that way. Sometimes if you consider the fight, the Peacemaker starts you off nicely. As we look around the map, I love the build that Cali Trolls just put in. That item of the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. That helps out Guest. That helps out Slushy. Maple Street hits his passive movement speed on the W. He's in the fight as well as Dodo. Everybody can catch up to keep the fight going now.
Yeah, they're looking to chase down LMQ. 9K gold lead for Team 8.
Yeah.
Talisman of Ascension. Get Cali Trolls into the fight. Ghost. Constantly Tides of Blood multiple people, slow them down so that Slushy, Maple Street, Guest can all get in there and do the damage they need to do. This composition, very well rounded.
Yeah.
All across the board.
Well, with that 9K gold, they need to start doing something, Zyrene. They've definitely just picked up more kills than they have been turrets. They are 4 now to 0. They had 3, so it's slow. It's what they need, but it might be a little too slow. We see them after that engagement, like we said, backing off from Zhao Weijiao's Shockwave, seeing now with the Rabadons, he's got a little bit of power to put forth, still charging up to that Seraph's Embrace as well. They're going to have some tricks up their sleeve. Phantom Dancer going into the Last Whisper already on Vasily. He's, like you said, keeping himself in that game, and he's going to be one to carry with Zhao Weijiao.
Yeah, and I talked about how there's so much shielding here. He also has Barrier. It's very hard to kill this Orianna. And they're going to be kiting backwards. He has so much CS in his pocket that despite this gold advantage for Team 8, everybody's levels are pretty much even across the board. We don't have a 2-level disparity between anybody, which is huge at this point. Because typically you see a team start running away with the game and it's like, oh, our top laner just decimated the enemies, and now they have like level 17 to level 15. Or I've seen games where it's 18 to 15.
Yeah.
Something as ridiculous as that. But LMQ, if they can turtle up, that'll be their key to get back into this game. But Ackerman, you see the Rylai is just slowing him down there, allowing more of those low rotation cooldowns from Cali Trolls to apply.
Calling for those shields. They also get the Locket of the Iron Slurry out. They wanted one more. Keep it going. Talisman of Ascensions are finished on both sides, but that Mikhail's Crucible is going to keep whoever I believe gets in the front of the fight. I feel like that Mikhail's is ready to be used aggressively. Whoa, he brings him out for the long ride on the 90 caliber Nat. Vasily goes to use Barrier, tries to use Flash. Everything is burned as well as his life, but now LMQ looks to make the comeback on this fight. Guess is going to be very big shutdown gold. That's Zhao Weijiao's. The kill on to Cali Trolls is a 0-3-3. It was a 0-2-3, so Ackerman doesn't get too much out of that, but the team gets a little bit of what they need.
Yeah, they get a turret in the mid lane, 5 turrets to 0. LMQ has a lot of potential gold on the map for them.
Right.
That they can reclaim some ground here. Dragon's not up. It's not going to be up for a decent amount of time. They are going to start pushing these objectives with those lockout timers. 2 of the most deadly members of Team 8 are gone. Just Maple Street, Slushy, really. Dodo, he can lock up, but you need that follow-up, and he's taken most of the kills himself.
Yeah.
Has transitioned it into damage, but more utility for his team.
And you can see how far ahead Team 8 was on that fight. LMQ was first tanking this turret. No minions were in position. Slushy gets caught up there. Good hook onto Tibbers, and that's going to pull in a little bit of damage they don't want. Ackerman swings away at the teddy bear, and they get out safely. That was pretty good, though. Like I was saying, Team 8 with that lead, LMQ could not do much getting out of there. They had to force that turret down. The minion waves weren't in place.
Yeah, and the dive onto Vasily, a little gratuitous.
Yeah.
Guess and California Trolls, they really wanted to lock down that 1, 5, and 3 Caitlyn, get him off the field, and going for a Baron here, 2-man, they can do it. They have enough damage between these 2 members.
So
the question is, does LMQ show up?
He's building a Triforce, too. That is going to be super painful coming from Guess 8. That extra punch is just going to break your teeth, and it's going to break down Baron as well. 12-7, Baron's picked up. We're looking at a big gold lead, almost hitting 10,000 now. 400 gold it will be.
California's ultied the Baron. He threw down his Hemoplague on it.
Oh, nice. Well, amplify the damage.
Does it?
Maybe.
I think Baron's immune to most abilities.
Yeah,
I would think so.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe he knows something I don't. That would be very, yeah.
Both of us.
Today I learned, or he learned, one of the two.
5-1. The turrets are definitely in the favor of Team 8. Let's see if they can start taking down the inhibitor turrets. Not been close enough. Ackerman on good roam has been able to stop a bit. They're going to need to do a lot more here so far down. 33 minutes into the game. Zhao Weijiao does have a lot of farm, but it only takes you so far.
And So the numbers here, the 388 for Oriana, just farming like a madman. It's going to be very hard to keep those numbers up right now because Team 8 has those temporary combat stats from the Baron. And the fact that their team fight, they're looking for picks here. That's what LMQ has to do, is transition this team fight composition into a pick comp. It's going to be difficult. Team 8, they're going to have to play very safely or just group up and push things.
Yeah.
Because LMQ, we saw it when they were guarding Vasily. They got 2 for 1. They're willing to take those trades every day. And they're going after No Name.
We hear teams talk about this. They can go after No Name like this because they have the chance to be able to make mistakes as well. 1 or 2 mistakes does not allow LMQ to get too much back in the game. So teammates ready to go in on these fights. Very gung-ho for the initiation. We saw long range from Guess there. The team's trying to get shots down onto the turret. Maple Street actually getting a little bit of aggro. Gets out of that. So Guess 8 still doing what he can. Been picking up buffs all game. I don't think he's had a point where he hasn't had a buff. He has always had the upper hand in these fights. He gets linked in, but it's not what they want.
Mikhail's that
Maple
right
Street. Come on now, a little too close. The team definitely wants you back a little farther as Vasily takes to take the advantage there. And so good. Vladimir split push. Haven't seen it in a while, but when it does come around, you have to consider guarding that lane.
Yeah, it's a 4v5, so Team 8 is trying to stretch LMQ thin until No Name is back up. And the Vladimir, they're chasing him down right now, actually. California Trolls is going to die.
He may die, but he may die for a turret on the team. Whoa, they throw in the box. That means they are going to have that down if Team 8 wants to go in for another initiation. Goes in with the Cataclysm. A nice shockwave coming out. They come over from the side, and Team 8 had kind of tunneled into just that inhibitor. Slushy, Maple Street, 400 combined health, about 1,400 on Guess himself. You might want to turn around and save these other 2 guys, but it looks like they will be safe. Guess is going to be here for the long haul. The other 2 need to peel off right now.
Wow, so they're going to get Guess here. The California Trolls, he was alive all the way. Going back up to top lane, now he's got full HP again. He was able to outrun Ackerman with his Ghost, and because they didn't have that top laner, that beefy top laner for either side, it was really just a run and gun. Who can do more damage? Who can kite the others? And Vladimir gets top turret.
Ackerman's backing in mid lane, not wanting to get any damage on the turret. He didn't have too much vision of what was going on. And it looked like LMQ had enough of the police brutality. They chased down Guess 8 for the kill. Timer's getting quite high here. We're 18 levels into the game, 36 minutes into the game now. So these are going to start counting. Whether or not LMQ has minions in position, they're still going to be able to start getting things after fight wins. They are kind of slowly closing the gold gap, but it's happening maybe 700 gold at a time.
But LMQ has not taken a single drag in this game.
Nope.
They've all been falling over to Team 8, who have had that timer and have been on top of it immediately. Right now, LMQ, they got a little bit of wiggle room, and it's gone. The 10K gold lead is back in favor of Team 8. Now LMQ trying to push up the mid lane. They got some of the Baron buffs off, which is good. But what is Guess looking for?
Oh my god, there's so much extreme damage from this team. Team 8 goes into the fight. Xiao down instantly. 61 seconds on the death timer. Vasily using the barrier, possibly getting himself into a safe spot, but he's forced to flash out of the brush because Maple Street enters in on that one. Knocking on the door. Moore tries to get out, throws down the box for a bit of safety on the disengage, but Team 8 gets exactly what they want 37 minutes in.
And now Maple Street still alive. The AD carry can do so much damage to these turrets.
Yeah.
If he just has somebody tank it for him. Doesn't look like they're going to rush straight for it.
See if we can get him around here.
Throw it down. Yep. Go.
Oh.
Mr. Tibbers.
Control it. There you go. Takes a second.
Oh, took a while. It took too long.
Too long indeed. They were walking all the way down. Bit telegraphed there. 4 sweepers, because I can count, on the side of Team 8 right now. They're coming out very strong with sweepers and with damage. Black Cleavers, Bloodthirsters, Infinity Edge, the Last Whisper as well. The Banshee's Veil finally put on Guess 8. He figures a defensive item at some point. It's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, he was sitting on the Spectre's Cal for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that was back when he had 0 deaths. He's accumulated 3 in the time that he's gotten 1 kill. And he had the Sheen. Looked like he was going for the Trinity Force, and then he retconned that and said, I don't need that. But here comes California Trolls from the back line. They're going to pinch off LMQ. 3 of them here.
This could be very big. Vasily, whoa! He does not have a health bar from the beginning of the fight. Moore is going to be the focus now. Box was just used for the disengage. Everybody on LMQ is saying, fend for yourselves. They're all going in different directions.
Xiao and Ackerman were all the way back in the base when that started. It was a good move by California Trolls. He has the slow here.
He gets it. The flag and drag. Can you go over a wall, though?
Woo.
Is there osmosis? There is not.
It would be really useful for Cataclysm. You could just slip right under it.
Seep through the wall, and then you're out. 50 seconds on to Baron. LMQ. It would be a try, but the scales are so tilted in favor of Team 8 right now.
California Trolls. He finds No Name.
Oh, man. They're back fighting down there. He's going to be able to get the long-range kill. Second tier turret is where that fight happened on Team 8's side. And you say, why? Team 8's pushing inhibitors. Yeah, they are, because they are all over the map. They just have control right now, throwing down the wards to make sure they know everything that's coming at him. Ackerman on home guards looked like he wanted to get some prey there.
And I had never heard of Guess 8 up until the formation of Team 8. I've never heard of this guy. And he comes out of nowhere like a rocket. He's so good. Slushy and Maple Street, they originally had been playing the opposite role. Maple Street was a mid laner. And then when they swapped, I remember Executioner Ken was like, that is the best swap in the history of Challenger. And look at that, Ackerman, he's going to get caught.
Oh, Ackerman does indeed get caught. Slushy coming up big with the kill. 3 on the assist, and Baron may be in the near future here.
And I talked about it earlier when they took out a dragon so quickly. Imagine if that was a member of LMQ. Let's make it the tankiest member. Ackerman can't stop that siege. Neither can the Baron. He's completely decimated. 15k gold with temporary combat stats to Team 8. They're looking to close this game out, and LMQ are looking the weakest that they ever have.
This is absolutely crazy. Even Ackerman's build in the top lane was thwarted. You saw him, as we said, go for the Doran's Blade, as Renekton's have been doing, trying to be aggressive, but then he throws it over and says, wait, I need the Spectral's Cowl before I even finish Hydra. I can't get my Tiamat yet. Flash in. No, it's going to be bounced backwards. The Ignite goes down, however. Team 8, again, just everywhere they want to be. Guess is in the backside. Cali Troll's going to meet with him. Baron is on. So is Sonya's. What's he going to be able to do to get out of this one? No segue pull. He still has enough HP for it. Slushy tanking up the turrets as the inhibitors go down, and this looks like Nexus turrets, Irene.
If Team 8 take this right now, oh, No Name's gone too. They're just cleaning house.
Turning the base into complete shambles. Team 8 wants this one. Ackerman wants a few for the KDA before he goes down. He says, tunnel on me, come out of the base. A triple kill to end the game for Maple Street. In the first of this best of 3, it goes to Team 8.
And that was a full house there. Maple Streets.
Yeah.
With the 3, and then 2 from his fellow teammate there. That was the weakest we've ever seen LMQ. The winners, first place of the first spring series. They looked so dominating, not dropping a single game. And Team 8, they've just made history taking them down right now in game 1.
Got to give credit in that game coming in from Guess 8. Huge play on Vi, and then Slushy's play in the mid lane as well. The roam down to the bottom lane, got himself 2 early kills, came up very big, and then 2 double kills in a row for Guess 8. Went to the bottom lane by himself, made a return, and then went to the top lane. And there were so many fights all over the map. We didn't miss a lot because we had replays, but there were fights we were not seeing because there was so much carnage. I can't wait for game 2.
They were just all over the place. They're very polarized, too. It's kind of very sound in the middle. It's like, oh, we're just farming. Xiao's doing his thing. Up top, double kill. Down bottom, double kill. And in style, too. There were some great plays all throughout that from both sides. But Team 8, they take the cake on that one.
Something that I didn't expect Team 8 to do was roam like that. I figured they would have just focused Xiao in the mid lane. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong here, as I said before, but they gave Xiao one of those champions that he gets a lot of farm on. And he gets a lot of farm on all champions, but they know his Ori's going to go to Wraiths, going to go to mid. He had the tier, so he's not roaming for kill damage. And they said, if he's going to be a mid lane, let's use that to roam ourselves. And they controlled the map by, I think, like 7 minutes. They had almost full control. Pink ward's going down and everything.
Yeah, that was all Guess 8, pretty much from start to finish. And then his team picking up the slack. California Trolls was very farmed.
Yeah.
Maple Street,
big Vladimir.
He didn't accumulate too many kills in the early game. You know, I think he was 2-2 and 4 or 6. And then, you know, a lot of the kills actually went over to Dodo on the Annie. He was 3-0-3 at one point.
Well, your support's run Ignite now, right?
Yeah. You know, you got to secure the kill. And just all across the board, Team 8 are looking so strong. I would not be surprised if they sweep it 2-0. And I'd actually be a little dumbfounded if LMQ are able to come back after that performance and take the series. So it's very exciting. I don't even care about losing an hour of sleep anymore.
When it's so unknown like this, I've noticed in competitive games, when it's so lopsided on one, it'll actually happen for the other team on the other. And you're like, wait a minute, how is this? It'll be really cool. We'll see what happens. We've got to take a quick break, but when we return, it is time for Game 2 between Team 8 and LMQ. Don't go anywhere as the 2014 North American Challenger Series. We'll be right back.